Hello, my friends. It's Carrie at holisticspsychic.com and Soul Star Healing Art Center, coming on to share insights today around the energies that are rising up with the upcoming new moon happening in the sign of Scorpio. I'm going to talk about the big picture themes first, and then we're going to spiral into the specifics. First off, the new moon happens on November 19th, 20th, depending on your time zone. Here in Arizona, which is on mountain time, the exact moment of the new moon is 11:47 p.m. We have the majority of planets in water signs right now, including Jupiter, the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Neptune, Saturn, and the North Node. The water element represents our emotions, our intuition, our deep unconscious self. Many of these planets are forming what's called a Grand Trine, which is a supportive energy, which I'll talk more about in a little bit. But let's start with the placement of the moon itself. Happening in the sign of Scorpio conjunct Mercury at 28 degrees. So the very last degrees of Scorpio, which brings in more of an intensity of the Scorpio energy. In shamanic astrology, Scorpio is considered to be the archetype of the magician or the shaman. And this is a time where we're being called to connect with our own inner shaman, letting yourself deeply connect with, acknowledge, listen to, and act upon what your deep soul guidance is, your deep silent knowing. That is the shamanic medicine for all of us right now. Tuning into like, what is my deep soul urging me or nudging me in the direction of? And now is the time to say yes to whatever those things are. So this new moon in Scorpio is happening in the last days of Scorpio season. So we've already been in the energies of introspectiveness, especially regarding deep shadow work healing, which Scorpio season is connected to, and is further emphasized by the fact that we've got many planets in retrograde right now, like 5 planets in retrograde, which retrograde planets do bring us into like an introspective type of time. Ultimately, we are in a rebirth portal right now, collectively. And all of these energies that are rising up now are ultimately supporting that, an uprising within yourself. We want to remember that new moons are the most beneficial time of each lunar cycle to set new intentions. And so, what we're looking at is the collective energies and then how you can personally leverage that for you specifically. The sun and the moon aligned, our intuition aligned with our conscious awareness. The sun represents our conscious awareness, how we show up in life, the fuel we burn, how we take action, while the moon, again, is our inner guidance, our emotions, our intuition, deep unconscious self. Also conjunct Mercury, which is the planet that is connected to thought, processing information, learning, exploring. Ultimately, Scorpio is a seeker of like the deep underlying beneath the surface truths. And this new moon ultimately brings us into an energy that supports our rebirth portal, our rise up, specifically in connection with our willingness to be really connected with what our deep inner truth is in the here and now. Access to new energetic choice points comes first with feeling into what is my truth right now, not what was my truth a month ago, a year ago, what are my programmed truths, but the energetic choice point is what is my truth now? Who am I now? What parts of me do I want to empower and embody and energize in the here and now? This has a lot to do with the cycle of rebirth connected to Scorpio. Scorpio relates to the death card in the tarot, which also is about rebirth and renewal. With our rebirth comes the release, the letting go of things that are no longer aligned with us, no longer serving us, which can include our beliefs, our thoughts, old emotions, ideas that we've outgrown that have been consciously or unconsciously holding us back. Since we're talking about the tarot, I want to say that this new moon in Scorpio at the 28th degree also relates to the Seven of Cups tarot card. And this card is connected to opportunity, options, inspiration, choices. The shadow component to be aware of is inspiration without action, sorting out wishes and fantasies from what's viable and real. And this is connected to some of the other energies that are happening as well, which we're going to explore. Now, another dynamic connected to this conjunction with the new moon is that Mercury is also opposite of Uranus. Uranus is considered to be the higher octave of Mercury. If Mercury is our mind and how we think, Uranus is connected to higher awareness. Meditation is a really good idea right now because we can access higher awareness from our higher self, God, spirit, universe, spirit guides, whatever you resonate with. But the idea here with Uranus is connected to revolutionary change. Uranus asks us to really reevaluate what structures of routines or habits, creature comforts are working for us, and what of those may actually be working against us in the way of contributing to stagnating energies. So, reflecting upon where you are feeling inspired to make some energetic choice points that bring you personally into that energy of rebirth and renewal. So at the time of me recording this, I'm recording this just a few days before the new moon, which is more of an energy of waning and clearing. And I'm noticing that in my life, I'm feeling guided to do all kinds of purging, cleaning up my files on my laptop. I just did a whole huge purge of my Instagram page where I deleted a lot of followers that to me seemed like not legit accounts somehow. So, anyway, I invite you to tune into noticing how you're having that in your life. How have you been feeling guided to purge, clear away, whether it's physical, digital, internal, mental, emotional, people, situations? If you look, you'll notice that in some way, over this past week or so, you've been feeling guided to purge, clear, release, let go in the intent of creating space for new growth ahead. Ultimately, the energies now serve as a big threshold moment that we can harness and leverage the power of, now is actually the time to start establishing the foundations for those energetic seeds to be planted. So the trine is happening between the sun, the moon, and Mercury in Scorpio, kind of going into the underworld of the deep internal, shadow, whatever we're ready to clear, heal, integrate, and the truth that we're ready to embody and empower, is making a trine aspect to Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter in Cancer is internal growth and expansion, internal right now because it's retrograde, personal transformation through reclaiming well-being emotionally, intuitively, and I'm going to say even spiritually as well, because the other part of the trine is Neptune, which is the planet of spirituality and intuition, conjunct Saturn, the planet that has to do with life structures, both retrograde in the sign of Pisces, which is the zodiac sign that is connected to the archetype of the mystic. So we have with Scorpio, the archetype of the shaman, with Pisces, the archetype of the mystic, and with Cancer, the archetype of the nurturer. And so these are the aspects of you that will be most helpful for you to tune into, as this grand trine serves as like a harmonious destiny current. It is the pathway to your next phase of evolution, or at least that's what the energetic choice point enables us to consider. Am I ready to shift into my next evolutionary experience? Or am I going to let my shadow side keep me stuck in the stagnation of the energies that I've really outgrown? That's one of the key things to consider and maybe even journal about. So this grand trine is a supportive, what I'm calling a destiny current, a current of energy that supports your expansion. However, it's requiring you to do some reevaluation. Neptune and Saturn in Pisces is a deep spiritual reevaluation that is us considering the structures of our life and how that aligns with the soul-centered dreams, goals, and ambitions. Ultimately, this energetic signature that is happening right now with Saturn and Neptune in Pisces leads us into a big energetic, and I'll even say karmic closure. Things that have been connected in your life that feel like karmic soul agreements, like that level of thing, especially karmic involvements, relationships that you feel have served as a catalyst for you in reclaiming energies that you've given away and empowering whatever your personal shadow dynamics have been within the karmic things that are being brought into completion now. And that completion pattern brings us into like whole new cycles of brand new beginnings in alignment with our self-leadership, our self-authority, our self-sovereignty, more at the beginning of 2026 as we come into January, February, which is when both of these planets will once again go direct and come into Aries. And so circling back now to how Uranus is in the mix of this trine, it's making a sextile aspect to both Jupiter and Neptune and Saturn conjunction. which makes the kite formation. And so the point of the kite formation is Uranus, and kite formations can be considered like energetic liftoff energies. And this Uranus here serves as a course correction support. And this is where a revolutionary change is called for, allowing yourself to bring into completion anything that you're ready to bring into completion, however that shows up for you. I would actually love to hear, how is that showing up for you? For sure, if you take the time to tune in, you'll be able to realize how this is happening for you. And if you have your birth chart, your natal chart, you can actually look to see where the Taurus sector of your chart is for a little bit of additional insight. But I will share this with you here. Taurus represents things connected to our self-worth, our self-identity, what we value, what we possess, and on 3D levels, it can be connected to how we make money. And it's interesting that this is happening in opposition to this, that Seven of Cups association that we talked about, which is connected to opportunity and making choices in alignment with what your values are. So I'll also say here that the position of Uranus in Taurus in the tarot represents the Seven of Pentacles. And the Seven of Pentacles represents the evaluation of progress. And so this is something for you to consider. Where are you evaluating progress in your life? And where might you need to do some course correcting in order to get to the next phases of progress? However, it's also connected to giving yourself some recognitions for how far you have come. And the course correcting is in the spirit of how can you expand more now? These may or may not be connected to external things that you're, quote, manifesting. They might be, depending on what house it's in your chart, but it can also be you continuing the journey of becoming more empowered in your self-worth, your self-love. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about here astrologically is an opposition. Jupiter in Cancer opposite Pluto in Aquarius. Personal transformation opportunity that comes with all of those Jupiter in Cancer themes that I already discussed, and how that is aligning with external growth. This can be in connection to groups of friends, your involvements with what your interests are, collaborative efforts, collective shared experiences, communities you're connected to. So internal personal transformation, quantum leaps into expressions of growth externally, expanding your reach, expanding your sense of community is definitely a thing right now, and it's all connected to this portal of rebirth that we've got going on with this new moon. And so let's wrap up with shamanic empowerment tools that you can do to really fully work with these energies. First is going to be a few journaling prompts. I'm all about journaling, and I want to recommend this. For those of you who are doing the journal prompts that I recommend, it is best to handwrite on paper rather than typing on a device if possible, only because it is psychologically proven that our brains process and integrate more deeply through handwriting than it does through typing. So you might want to just check that out. But here's the journal prompts. What's ready to be released? And the releasing thing is actually best to do, with your intention, maybe do some releasing ceremonies in the days coming up to the new moon or the first day of the new moon while it's still dark in the sky. We don't actually see the new moon sliver crescent in the sky until usually the day after the actual new moon. So while the night sky is dark with the new moon, is still a really good day to do any last releasing thing that you want to do. Then, what's ready to be reborn? What am I ready to reclaim, empower, retrieve from my shadow? What's asking to be reclaimed? This is huge. The other practice that I'm going to recommend is decluttering processes, as I spoke of earlier, in ways that mirror your internal rebirth and renewal to optimize the container so that it can hold whatever energy you are ready to bring, whatever you are ready to rise up within yourself, empower, embody, and share in your life. And then lastly, shamanic visioning meditation. Envisioning yourself being the you that you know that you are, envisioning the empowered you, envisioning the you that has experienced rebirth and renewal, envisioning the you that has made those energetic choice points in alignment with your next spiral ring of evolution, the higher expression of vibrance in you, in your life. Envision you being that person. You might even want to journal about that so that you're writing down all the details. Common ways that I do this and that I guide people through is asking yourself, how do I feel in my body, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, when I'm living my highest and best life? What kinds of things am I doing? What's the energy that I'm bringing to each day? What's inspiring me? What do I feel alive with? What do I feel curious, enthused about? What passions in life am I fully enjoying being involved with? Use your imagination, let it go where it will, but you're basically envisioning and describing the you that you are choosing to embody, empower, activate, and energize with the cycle of this new moon. Do it. Let me know how it goes. Share in the comments below. I'm going to wrap it up here, but I am going to see you all in the next video. I have a really cool video coming up soon about shamanic mirroring, and it's way deeper than we might think that it is. So I'm excited to upload that in the coming week or so. Be on the lookout for that. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please do take a moment to consider subscribing so you can stay up to date on my latest content. Okay, all my love, guys. Blessings. Namaste. See you.